Good afternoon. You're watching ABTV's first roundtable discussion, and in the studios right now we have Josh Corder, who is a journalist who covers the hospitality sector extensively. We also have Ricky Mertz, who is a co-founder of North Star, which is the only organization in the UAE dedicated exclusively to finding meaningful opportunities for people of determination. And we have PR maven Loredana Matai, who is also the founder of Jensen Matthews. Thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you.
Right, so today obviously we are here to discuss one very controversial post by Sofitel on LinkedIn, who we did try to approach, but unfortunately they couldn't make it here. But just have a look at the post, as you can see on the screen. So there's a picture and then there's a caption that reads, "We are delighted to welcome Krishna Vishwanathan, who joins us recently as a front office clerk. Krishna was hired as part of our ongoing commitment to promoting diversity and inclusion in the workplace and in our society by providing equal opportunity to persons of determination. We wish him the very best of success in his role." The reason why this post is being discussed is because it went viral. 73,000 likes, there were about 2,300 comments, but not all were good and nor all were bad. So starting with you, Josh, as soon as you read the post, what were your thoughts?
Well, the thing is, as I work in the hospitality industry, I see a lot of these appointment alerts. We have appointed a new general manager, we have appointed a new office clerk, all those sort of things. And they never take the angle that this LinkedIn post took, which is, it seems to make his being a person of determination a credential, and then it focused on that credential and made it the only credential. It didn't say he has been in the industry for 2 years, he has previously worked at so-and-so, he has previously studied so-and-so. It said he is part of our commitment, which is a great commitment. It needs doing, it needs discussing, and that's why we're here.
Yeah.
But the way they went about it, too obtuse.
All right, so, but then over here, North Star had obviously put up a post after that, and you guys said that this was great from a marketing standpoint as well as an inclusion standpoint, which is essentially what you do. You're trying to promote the idea of inclusion at the workplace. So what did you think when you saw the post?
Well, from an inclusion standpoint, it's great. You know, what I would be keen to say is it depends what went before and what will come after within the process of hiring a person of determination. For instance, we offer global best practice interview support, job coaching ongoing, and we let what we do speak for itself.
Right, okay, great. So would you agree with that take, saying that, you know, well, the idea was great and also the way it was done was all right? Is that what you think as well?
The idea was great, the execution was bad. And from a very, very good point of view, you have to look at everyone that interacts with your brand. Do you use this hiring as a popularity card, or would you just do what is right and if you really want to make an example out of this, you just try to find creative ways of actually maybe bringing together many other players in the industry and open up a conversation to normalize the discussion. The intention was absolutely great. The execution was not elegant, and it wasn't what, let's say, many other communicators or PR specialists would advise to.
Can I ask you then, what needs to change in the execution? What exactly did you find wrong in the execution?
Less blunt. Maybe they could have started with, let's say, a press release about the programs that they're trying to implement, and this comes back to the work that you do. And I will want to give an example here. Jumeirah has a brand called Sabil House.
Yeah.
Their branch in Greens hired Mohammed, which is actually a person of determination, right?
You worked with him as well,
So
right?
yes, so I've worked with Mohammed for 6 months now. We supported him every step of his journey. I've just left from this morning from job coaching him.
Okay.
And what's been amazing has been the impact in the community. I live in the Greens as well. So for instance, there was a Facebook post from a member of the community talking about how fantastic it was, you know, that this is obviously a truly inclusive employer.
Yeah.
But also it's centered on Mohammed and his ability to do the job.
Right, so Sabil House did not promote it.
No, Sabil House did not promote it.
Right.
It was promoted from within the community.
Right. Maybe that is the right approach then. Is that what we all agree on at this point?
Yes.
It is a good
Do
approach.
you think that a company should never advertise so openly that they are employing people of determination? Should it be left up to the outside community to do this work, or do companies have this commitment? Because I myself am a person of determination. I use a wheelchair and I have my entire life.
Yeah.
And the company I work for, I would never ask them or want them to open that dialogue and make it so public, because I feel like it's my choice if I want to make that information so known. And perhaps the communication was there beforehand, but none of us are aware of that.
Right.
We don't know if he was asked beforehand, are you comfortable with how this post was done? Is this the most relevant information you want to share?
Right, but I agree, but I need to ask you this now. Would it be right for any company to promote this aspect of it, that they are doing it, that they are employing people of determination? Is that right at all?
So the UAE traditionally has a very small number per capita of persons of determination in employment.
Yeah.
So on one side, in order to address that, the post could be seen as a positive.
Yeah.
But from the person-led angle as opposed to a disability-led,
Correct.
then maybe that it's not. Any sort of social media or anything that we do with any of our candidates is done in collaboration with the candidate, with a family, and with the organisation.
Right.
That's why you've seen slightly less of Jumeirah and Zabil House.
Publicly.
Yes, publicly.
But offline, they brought together the community to actually interact with Mohammed, and he is an amazing asset for Jumeirah as an employee, not as a
Right.
person of determination.
Absolutely. His personality is
Correct.
the massive asset, as it would be for any organisation.
There is always a choice between just making a post out there for the sake of making a post or thinking the situation through. And you have to take in consideration all the ways that it can backfire.
Yeah.
In this situation, it backfired quite a bit. And then is the ethical implication of that communication.
Right.
Did you check with the family if they agree? Did you check with the person in cause if they agree? Because I would like to be asked before somebody writes something about me.
Yeah. But what if they do it for all of their employees? If, like Josh mentioned earlier, so if they hire every employee and they put up a post about every single employee, if it was worded right, is it still okay to say that, this person has been hired? Because I think awareness is one of the key problems over here, and
Correct.
people need to know that this has to happen more than this is happening.
Yes.
If you know what I mean.
A post would be okay if it's just one element in a series of other strategic tactics. They do, and majority of other brands, they do a post about the people that join their companies, and they will never talk about their physical traits or their challenges. They will talk about their experience in work.
The way they went about it undermines every other qualification and piece of experience. Normally, when I look at a alert of an appointment, it would say, this person had this much experience, and they would then provide personal information which is kind of supplementary to what they're saying. They would say, this person has worked in Oman, he's lived in Oman his whole life, therefore he's really useful at showing kind of the area to the public. If they somehow gave his personal life a better way of relating to his professional life, it would have been better. But they made his personal life his professional qualification.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
It should be supplementary, not the entire thing.
So now just pulling the discussion a little broader and a little away from the post, one of the things, again, Josh mentioned earlier was the role. He asked me what role it was, and I hadn't thought of it before, so it was a front office clerk.
Yeah.
Do you think that is, again, very important?
It's not about just going to an organisation and saying, we have a person of determination, here you go, create a position. It's got to add value for everyone in order for it to be a non-tokenistic hire.
Of course, for sure. Now, again, so a lot of new laws are being introduced here in the UAE. Josh, again, you've lived in the UAE and you've also lived in London, was it?
I've lived in London, yeah.
In London, right. So if you had to do a comparative study from when you were in the UAE and then you went to London and then now you're back in the UAE, do you see facilities, infrastructure, malls, hotels, etc., being more accessible to you as a wheelchair user?
I think last year in the UAE it was the year of tolerance. If I'm not mistaken, this year is the year of preparation.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing in the UAE now is that they're all companies and bodies and everybody are trying to plant the seed into people to start making these considerations for infrastructure and everything. Because it will take a while and it's not going to happen overnight, no matter how much everyone would like it to. But what can happen or what is happening is people are communicating more. And so that's getting a lot better. But people understand the issue, they now have to think about how to execute it.
Is there a PR problem in all of this? Is there a PR confusion more than a problem? For example, I was just telling you guys earlier, I wasn't sure if it is right for me to use the term disabled. And we saw that Sheikh Mohammed coined the term people of determination and said that that is the right usage. So do you think PR, marketing and terminologies and reframing these issues will create an impact?
It will create an impact because terminology will help you find that common ground that is legal acceptable. A terminology, a specific term, will help us to not be in the position of offending others. We have to look at what is humanly acceptable. Terms are highly subjective.
Yeah.
What is fine for me might be highly offensive for other people.
Sure.
And I think we all can agree that some people would prefer people of determination, other people would prefer just disability.
Yeah.
I honestly will encourage everyone to name everyone a human, because in the end of the day, this is what we are. And
perhaps even ask, right? Ask what they're comfortable with.
Yes,
Yeah.
but just ask, open a conversation.
Yeah, for sure. So let's just start that here. Josh, so is it okay? Like, is it offensive for you? Or do you not mind being called a person of a disability or the term?
I think, and I think you touched on this amazingly, is that it opens up a line of communication and empathy.
Yeah.
When you say people of determination, you then have a story as why you feel like you empathise with that terminology.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good way of looking at it. I'm not certain how I feel about it personally, but I think for other people, and you might be able to chime in because you work with a lot of people with determination, but it provides people of determination to talk about if they resonate with that terminology or not, and talk about what they have done, what they have been determined to do throughout their life. So in a way, I think it's quite an empowering term, because it lets people understand that people of determination have been through a lot.
Because Dubai is such a multicultural city, then it's often split down the lines of how people think of the terminology comes from their country of origin.
There is a general consensus from the people we've spoken to off the record that, again, hiring people with disabilities or people of determination comes with an added cost. Is that true?
The cost is completely dependent on what kind of disability the candidate will have, you know? And also, it's if you look at training, for instance, that covers the next generation of hires, the generation after that, as opposed to if you use money to put a hearing loop in for someone who's hearing impaired, then maybe the next hire might not be hearing impaired, but the training benefits everyone.
Yeah.
But of course, as Josh and I discussed earlier as well, you know, places just should be accessible.
Yeah.
So it's not a case of that not wanting to spend, you know, it's not a sort of a choice.
It should be basic infrastructure.
Of course it should be.
Well, I want to ask all of you this, because training is not just unidirectional, it's multidirectional, right? So when it comes to training at workplace, for example, do you think employees of all kinds need to be trained so that they know how to deal with people of determination and how to work with them, and vice versa, including people of determination, so that they are trained to get involved in the workforce? I'll start with you.
I think that's an interesting question that you've looked at the two sides. But the way I look at it is, you can open the communication and you can train people with determination and able-bodied people, but it's not about making it this massive thing. It should be completely normalised.
Yes.
This is something that should be integrated into, let's say you have a workshop day where you teach them about, avoiding misconduct, support systems, being polite. This should just be interweaved into everything else that they should be training about anyway. It shouldn't be, in my opinion, it shouldn't be its own big affair. It should just be common sense and ingrained into us as common sense, not an additional thing that everyone has to learn.
Right.
Because then I feel like there's additional kind of hesitation and skepticism about people's determination. But what we need to start ingraining in people is this should be as normal as being courteous to females in the workplace, removing racism, ageism, all those things. This should be on the same level.
What would you expect organizations, the larger corporates, to do to just really believe, if they believe in inclusion, incorporate that?
Yeah, I would say that actions are stronger than words. I think that looking to be more inclusive, not just diverse, actually inclusive of the people who you do hire. And if you're going to make a post, then think about it as a person-led post, you know? Just as Josh said, it should be a post about the person, about the role, about what they bring to this.
Change the perspective.
Yeah, change the perspective. And as simple as stopping and thinking about it from there.
Great, and what would you want changed right now in the UAE and in the organizations here?
People have difficulty empathizing with people of determination. They can't relate what people of determination go through with their own lives. For example, any hardships you've had in your professional life, in your personal life, which you put into the personal statement of your CV to give yourself more personality. People of determination could do the same with their disability or with their condition. I think it's about understanding, about communicating that you can empathise with people of determination even if you don't have the condition yourself.
Avoiding at all costs using people of determination as a PR card and any sorts of publicity stunt. I think it's very, very important to use the offline community, in the hotel's case, for example, bringing the community together or bringing other brands together to try to normalize the situation as much as possible until this is not going to be the reason for a press release or a post on social media.
Brilliant. So we've learned a lot today, and I'm glad we had this conversation today because in the last 10 minutes or so, I know I've learned so much. I know I need to ask next time when I am in doubt and not just have preconceived notions. We know infrastructure and facilities need to change, and we know the conversations need to start. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And thank you for watching ABTV's Roundtable discussion.